Good morning. Okay, I'm going to talk to you a little bit about cycles, expectations, and Miss Cleo, I guess you can say. A lot of people are looking for a move to occur, and for this winter, from October to December. That's the cycles that would normally happen, and they've happened over 4-year periods in the past. That might change a little bit this year because of some of the elements that are going on with our tax cuts and the ISM. And this was pointed out by RuPaul. He's very intelligent, and a lot of what he says makes sense, and I'll play his video for you. But you can see these charts, and this one is elongated into 2026, and they all correspond with the PMI, which is a Purchasing Managers Index, and they correspond also to the interest rates. And these cyclical times, they stretch between 4 to 6 years in reality. This one looks like it might be elongated to 2026. And you could see that in other charts as well. Ones that commodity traders would look at for cycles. And this one points to 2026 being the start of the move that we're expecting to happen in the future. So again, all of this is trying to predict the future. Now, one thing they haven't taken into understanding is the institutional impact that we have now with the ETFs. For example, BlackRock is filing another premium income ETF, which is basically for baby boomers for income generation and using Bitcoin as the vehicle for this, which makes perfect sense. But they're just starting these funds up, and they're going to be rolling more of these, and they're going to be capturing as much assets under management, as I've been telling you, as much as they possibly can. And this is going to have a primary factor. They're going to want to keep prices tampered down, so they're going to try to break this current 3-month cycle. It's going to be interesting to see if they can, especially with the tax cuts not taking effect yet. But outside of that, here's RuPaul, and watch him and what he says, and this makes a lot of sense.
Basically, this is a detrended Bitcoin. Why is Bitcoin sort of not wildly off to the races yet? And it's this chart. Bitcoin is basically, this is a detrended Bitcoin, and it's basically the ISM, which is the business cycle. Remember, we've always said it's the business cycle stupid. It is always the business cycle stupid. And all of these people who claim it's the 4-year cycle based around this and that, they don't understand the fundamental of what the business cycle is, why there's a 4-year cycle and everything. And we've explained it. We'll go through it in great detail tomorrow in our Everything Code presentation. But basically, it's following the ISM. And rates have been following the same pattern. You see, rates should have come lower. They need to come lower because we need to roll the debt. We've talked about this. That's part of the Everything Code, fundamental part. And ISM, because rates are so high, has meant that Main Street has been screwed while Wall Street's made money from debasement. Earnings versus scarce assets. This is the issue that they need to solve, and they need to get rates lower. They get rates lower. Why? Why do we have an elongated business cycle that looks like virtually no other real other time? It's because, and I only just found this out redoing the work on the Everything Code recently, is that in 2021-22, they actually extended the maturity of the debt from 4 years to 5 years. So that extension of the maturity of debt has pushed out the business cycle a year. The 4-year cycle this time around is a 5-year cycle. We don't know what the next one will be until we see where they all end up getting refinanced. Whether it comes back to 4 because they managed to get some stuff at the long end, or whether they shorten it because everything's in the short end. We don't know yet. But this one is a 5-year cycle. And this is what it looks like. 5.4-year sine curve. 5.4 years is the exact average weighted maturity of the debt. And it tells us the ISM should peak by 2026. We think liquidity probably peaks before that, as the rate of change of ISM changes and the rate of change of liquidity changes. Our best guess remains well into 2026, probably Q2.
Now, if you look at the different periods of times and how I match technicals with cycles, and you'll see they match up pretty well to a degree. It's multivariable. There's not ever one um, overriding thing that's going over and making the market move. It's a combination of variables that work together. That is the biggest key I want you to understand. If you're just looking for some simple answer to go over and figure out what the reason is everything happens, well, you're not going to find it. Uh, you right now have Metaplanet that is had a giant pullback, and all of a sudden you have these fund managers and these analysts coming up and saying what a great buy it is. Um, well, they're not wrong, but they could be early too. So you got to keep that in mind. But there are a lot of companies that are buying Bitcoin and adding it to their reserves, and you're going to see this expand. And that's what the overall fundamental point of view is. Again, the fundamentals are what matter, and this is multivariable. But when you see companies like this going over buying other companies, that tells you it's a very healthy area, and there's plenty of growth to come. Our orange turd president is likely going to shut down the government next week, so there's going to be likely chaos to ensue simply to prevent releasing of the Epstein files and for him to find a way to mitigate this new Democrat being elected in Arizona that would tip in favor of the release of the files. So that's going to be very interesting, and it could be a very chaotic week next week. Just keep that in mind. And for the love of God, stop listening to people on Twitter. They're idiots and hypers, and they're not going to do anything to benefit you. Pay attention to the charts, and the charts that I give are fantastic. Anyway, enjoy the video. Okay. So you've seen what I was talking about the cycles and what's possible and likely to occur. So right now we're in a 50-50 zone of where, we might get a move or we might not. And the big primary reason, if we go back to Bitcoin here, is because of the fact that, the bigger money wants Bitcoin to be at a lower price, and they want, ideally, the retail traders who bought it in the past to capitulate and to disappear because they want to own the Bitcoin. And the better the price they can own it at, the better it is for them. They can increase their assets under management and acquire more Bitcoin at lower prices because they know what the prices will be in 5-10 years from now. That's what they care about. They don't even care about 5 years. They care about more like 10 years and increasing their base, and the regulations and the legislation will increase to favor the institutional money that is coming into the place. So the only thing they need to do is to get the stupid people or the retail traders to sell their Bitcoin. That's their focus. That's why there's a good chance that we won't get a move that people are expecting this winter, and the cycle will be broken and everybody will freak out. That's what their goal is. Now, will they be able to accomplish this? I don't know. There's only so much Bitcoin on the exchanges, and they're at a disadvantage, to put it bluntly. The last move we had, and the area that I was shorting, was right here at the 61.8. I said that would occur. It occurred, and it was pretty much a perfect trade. From here, the long that I had exited here. Then I had short, and then I went into my favorite. I've been buying Metaplanet because it's under the 80% mark down here, and it's very oversold. Now it still can go lower, and I hope it does. I hope it gets down to here, the 3. I believe it's around 318, 317, anything under 320, basically. The 88.6 is the primary target, is what you would look for. There's been a lot of people calling out how they're getting involved in this stock at these prices. So maybe it won't last. You can never tell. It's not perfect. It's only statistical. Majority of the time, it will go to and under the 88.6. But we're still in the 80% zone, and that's good enough. And I started buying at 417, then I added it in the 360 range, and now I'm just waiting for under 320 to buy even more. And I want to have a large position in this because look at all these gaps that you have. And on a percentage basis, this is worth 3, 4, maybe even higher. Maybe if we get a real breakout, we can really get to this 4.23 and above percent range. This is truncated because of this was a follower of MicroStrategy, as I've mentioned before, and MicroStrategy pulled back when it hit its 423% level, went above it by a good amount even, and you could see what it did there, and that was very key. So it went lockstep with MicroStrategy, or they call it strategy now. So that's what occurred, and then went down to the 200% level. This area is its support, and now it's just meandering, deciding what it can do. Now, one of the patterns that could come from this that we see is a possibility of this. Let me draw this over here. Got this high here. Boom, 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 boom. We're going to ignore the other outside ones, and we could very well get a butterfly-like pattern. Let's say it goes down to somewhere in this range here, and then goes all the way up to numbers that probably will get close to that $700 range right up here. This would not be unlikely to occur. It's already got a 5-wave pattern, 1, 2, 3, 4, and then 5 right now. So if it creates this wing, we could get that type of move. But that's speculating. I'm not here to speculate. I'm just giving what's possible. The main point was that this truncated the move in Metaplanet. It never got to its 423% range. So that means that the energy in it is now condensed. So when it does move up, it's going to be a violent move up, just like this was a violent move down. I want you to recognize the time period of time from here in February of this year. Okay, we're only in the 9th month. It went all the way up to nearly $16 and then all the way back down to the $3 range. Crazy. It's moving very quickly in a term. So that rationalizing, this is going to be a fantastic trade, and I like this more than Bitcoin even. I hate to say that because it's adjacent to Bitcoin. They're a reserve company now in a way. But we see what we're looking at here, and this is going to be a killer trade. And the amounts that I hedged on Bitcoin, pretty big, and I'm not going to even go to the exact percentages. It doesn't matter. Just know that I believe that 117 could be the short-term point of where we're pulling back, and we kind of are. Do we break these lows? That's the big question here, because then we'll have to create a wave structure off of this high. Boom, boom, went up to 61.8. Does it bounce and then break into another low, or does it hit October 3rd and switch over, and we hold this range right here and then start to move higher? Well, that's the two scenarios right there, and they're pretty even. The upside scenario after October 3rd, the numbers elevate, so the probabilities go to the upside that we get an upside breakout that takes out the old highs and keeps moving upwards. That's just statistically what's there. But that is where BlackRock comes in, as you saw in the beginning of the video. And they're going to try to prevent that. They're going to do all they can. They might even dump some. But they're really looking to acquire Bitcoin just at lower favorable prices. And you can't really blame them. It's just, there's a lot of eyes on Bitcoin. And a lot of companies are going to be buying it and sucking away the supply. So it's going to be a really interesting set of dynamics to see what will occur from here. And we're at a key pivotal point. If you look at this line right here, this is the 108, the low 108 area is very important. I know it was a buyer down here because of technical reasons and all that, but this, the low 108, this line right here, how we move from this point and at this time, which is next week basically, is going to be extremely important to show us what is likely to be the theme for the next several months. But we'll see. October is your transition month. The big moves start then, but they don't really ramp up until November, December timeframe. If you've seen the banana zone moves that people keep telling me about, the banana zone, it's the parabolic. It's just your parabolic cyclical zone. And you get large moves off of there. And, I have nothing to do until where? You know what I'm looking for. I'm looking for this right there, the 4.23 and the minimum target. That's the minimum target. That means that we can still move higher than this. I want you to recognize that we can go higher than this. We don't have to just go to the minimum target and go lower. So we'll see what happens from here. But we're setting up, and once this hits October 3rd, we are free to make the bigger move upwards for the next 3 months. We get the upside that should take over. So it's going to be really interesting, unless BlackRock could break everything and turn us to go lower. So that's where I am. My favorite really is Metaplanet. I hope we do go lower. I hope I've not even stated, I think I mentioned this in the beginning of the video, but Trump is going to likely cause all kinds of chaos next week. And there's a few reasons why. One of the reasons why is because a Democrat was elected in our parliamentary system that would have edges the votes to releasing the Epstein's files. So he's going to try everything he can to distract from that. And the way to do that is to shut the government down, which is going to basically put a bunch of more people out on unemployment. What does he care? He's a fucking billionaire. Billionaires do not give a F less about regular society. That's why you have tariffs and all this, stuff that affects the average American, but he doesn't care. He's part of a totally different class. And it's kind of ironic that we vote for people that go against our own interests. And I'm I wouldn't say I was a liberal, but in some ways, in this economically, yeah, I am. Except for the problem with the liberals they're run by central bankers, and they're just as bad as the Republicans. So you really can't win. The government will increase the debt and try to make it somebody else's problem in the future and never take any responsibility, just like it doesn't matter which party it is, if it's left or right. This is a common theme, and this is the way governments work, unfortunately. They become corrupt. Absolute power corrupts absolutely. Nobody has the intelligence to go over and figure out a way to go over and do what actually works for everybody, that benefits everybody. It's because of greed and short-sightedness, really. You can't take your money with you. We're all going to die. We're all going to be put in the ground or cremated if you go that way. And you try to benefit your fellow human beings, but that's lost on people. And everybody wants to hate one another and be right. So good luck with that. But anyway, so this is what we're expecting. Metaplanet is the one. It is going to have gigantic moves in the future. This is basically all being bought. You see the numbers increasing here. The price action, if you look into the volume, you can see that they're buying the F out of it. And they're getting the sellers who overbought, and they're clearing them out. The minimum target you're going to have, that's going to go up to the $6 range right here. That's just the minimum off of the wave structure that you have. That's like 100% certain. And then the likelihood to go up to the previous 61.8 right there, that's going to happen. That's also guaranteed pretty much. So, the smart money is looking at this and saying the numbers justify a free ride, 100% return within a relatively short period of time. I'd say about 3 to 4 months, maybe as long as 6 to 8, but depending on what numbers you want. But just like I've done in the past, when it goes up to these numbers, what am I going to do but shrug my shoulders? Okay, yeah, there's no emotion involved. It's just a trade, and it's a good trade in my opinion, and it's going to likely have, just like many of my other trades, 90-something% of them do exactly what I state because that's what's in the chart. But anyway, I'm going to briefly touch on Ethereum, because I was asked about that. Ethereum, nothing has changed in it. It still has this target level. If this area hits, this is a good buy point because this is the pattern that's in it. This is your long-term pattern. If you remember, I showed you this. I don't like trading the short versus the long. So I'm not really interested, but this was your sell point up here at the 4,700, around 4,800. If you wanted to trade down to here, this made sense. And that's what's in the chart. There's nothing to really think about. You have the bigger pattern that shows numbers that go much higher, but that's going to take time to work out. This is what's going on right now. And the 3,500 range is what's there. And yeah, but you've known about this pattern. Everybody's known about this pattern. So that's one of the things, the magnets that can pull it back down, but it's minor. It doesn't really mean much. And now to go to silver, which is doing fantastic. It hit its first target down in the 36. Now its next target, I pointed this out a while ago, is right up here at 52, and it is slowly making its way up to that level. So we will see how long it takes to get there. It seems to be moving pretty well, and it's got expansion on it. And yeah, this was its bull market move here. It's already had a free ride all the way up. I had one person that put a lot of money into silver because he thought it was a more stable, and in some ways, yeah, it makes sense. It's has a long history, so he was a bull right from this level, and he said that was a great trade, and he's very happy with it, and I'm glad you stuck with it. But yeah, so the next level is that 52, and as far as what was the other one that people wanted to know about? What was the one that I don't think anything interesting. I already told you about the Dow Jones. I already explained the ISM and the Ralph Paul, that guy came out and he pointed it out, and I thought that was interesting because it really has to do more with interest rates, like I said in the beginning of the video. So watch that. But anyway, that's all I got for you. So look for Metaplanet. This is the one. This is the best one. If it can get down to here, that's the you know, anywhere in the 80% range, 80 to this 88.6. If it gets down to here, fantastic. If not, fantastic. I'm going to look to take it much higher, all the way up, and hold on to it when Bitcoin gets its run. This is going to be the chart that I'm really going to focus on. I think this has fantastic upside, and I like it. Let's see what kind of drama they can come up with it. There'll probably be some kind of negative news to go over and get prices to push down and try to push people out, as they always do. But not that interesting to me. Anyway, that's it for this video. Hope you enjoyed it, and I'll see you guys in the next one.